Oh yeah, we are live. Uh, so welcome, Anand and Aruna. Thank you for being here. Um, First of all, how are you guys doing?
Well, a new date, but otherwise,
No, we haven't spoken, I
still,
think.
still we're not out of the woods, but yeah, things are going along.
And Arunaka, how are you? No, actually,
How are you?
I'm busy. That's that's how it is. Like with YouTube channel, and then like it's a different year altogether. Usually we are busy playing tournaments, but right now there are no tournaments to play in. So more busy with like the YouTube stuff and like Graphy and other work as well. Uh,
Sure.
so I saw some of your parts of the Graphy in the first one which you made. How was your experience shooting that? I think it was 6 chapters,
Seven.
Seven, yeah.
7. Mhm.
Um, it was fun. I mean, the thing is, I assume that Aruna knows a lot about chess because she has watched so much of it, and but her performance varies. Like sometimes she'll suggest a move like a grandmaster because she's simply seen the idea so many times.
Oh, really?
And other times she'll suddenly look at me and say, "What am I supposed to do now?" And so our class had to kind of bridge that gap. Um, I mean, I've always been in a situation where when I talk chess with Aruna, I just assume she knows most. I mean, I won't get into variations, but other than that, I'll just talk to her about openings and say, "Oh, but this sub variation and that sub variation and all that." And so it was hard to remember that she's also starting out. She hasn't actually formally done something. And anyway, I'll tell you a funny story. So somehow she got a bit nervous on camera. So we went, I went e4. She played e5, looked at me, is that okay? And I played knight f3, she went knight c6. I went bishop b5. And we have discussed lots of stuff here. But she played f5. So, so she played f5. And I was shocked because I didn't expect f5 at all from her. I can't even remember that she has watched me in some game with f5. It's okay. And because I was shocked, she suddenly looked at me and said, "Did I do something wrong?" And I said, "No, no, no, it's actually a very good move. I just didn't expect it from you." So a little bit like that. But anyway, this time we're now going to start formally getting people, couples, ready to play a game.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing will be about the four nights, and then we'll do French. So like that.
So I think.
Actually tell them how they can get off, start playing a game, and
Mhm.
along with that, we recap some essential things, some basic stuff over and over again. Um, it's a bit of a mix. I'm trying to tell them what they can do because they're starting out. At the same time, I don't want them to make some elementary blunder. So the level fluctuates a bit. I'm also trying to figure out how to do it, but we'll see.
I've noticed that like generally when people start playing chess or they have this interest, they love to learn openings because they can immediately apply. And constantly I keep telling that okay, tactics is the foundation, that's important. But this okay, but what do I play for Sicilian? So that's the go-to question. I think they'll
Yeah.
have fun learning openings. And when you're giving the answer, I saw Arunaka making some expressions. So was it something that I missed?
With it, when you're married, you will know that marriage is made about making expressions at each other.
So it's a long way for me then.
The first 7 years, you don't know what those expressions are, and slowly you get the hang of
I'm completely clueless then when it comes to that. But like you learned first time, I guess, formally chess, or you
I,
knew it
yeah,
before?
I've never learned chess. Anand never taught me before. So I think no, it's actually nice because now he's forced to spend this 1 hour with me and without looking at his phone or checking some chess game, and he has to look at my face and talk, and he has to teach me chess. So I think it's a good thing for couples.
And did it continue even like after the show? Some like chess discussion, or like did you play some chess yourself like online?
me and Akhil. So when Akhil is playing Puzzle Rush, sometimes Anand is standing behind and I tell him, you think that I don't know anything, but I'm training with Akhil in Puzzle Rush.
Who is the better player?
Akhil, of course. Between me and Akhil, of course.
But Aruna has seen more modern theory.
And I guess like Akhil
I
must.
mean, we were discussing something in one of these graphies, and she suddenly tells me, "Why did you put your knight on a3? You spent all your life complaining about the Sveshnikov, and then you put your knight on a3." I was a bit shocked again. But then you realize just how. First of all, you realize how much chess players repeat openings, but also you realize well how much you see.
No, I think
So-
the question is not how much chess players repeat openings, how much they repeat themselves complaining about openings.
That's true. I think once we get something wrong, we kind of like get hooked onto it and like, why did I play this opening or stuff like that. At least I complain a lot, so I know.
Don't worry, all of them do.
And I'll also see if there are some questions. I think before even the stream started, people were asking, please roast with it as you roasted Samay in the last stream. That was one request, so I'll put it on the table. I think you had made a joke last time. So whenever you get a chance, feel free.
No, there was this just one line I had for Samay, and I thought it was perfect for him. So that I was waiting. But other than that,
No, it was
I
perfect.
didn't particularly roast him. But anyway, we'll see.
No, it was perfect. So I'll see if guys, if you have any questions, you can just put in the chat. I'll try to ask. Okay, so far they are really laughing at Aruna ma'am's story, so that's going good. And also one interesting topic which I wanted to touch upon is that your biopic is going to happen, and I don't know how much you can tell about it. But first of all, how does it feel like, how did it happen actually, this biopic?
Okay, there was, I mean, some very serious people who contacted us, and yeah, again, it kind of feels. First of all, I'm more open to the idea. Already, I was open to the idea of the book last year. Now, I feel I have more time. Generally, in a stage when you want to try these things, but the basic point is, it went from being something abstract to something real.
Mm-hmm.
So all these years when it really wasn't on the horizon, I would say, oh, it is nice if Amir plays me or this and that. It's one of these standard questions you get answered. But now suddenly it's like asking me not which historical figure would you like to play, but suddenly telling me who will you like to play in your next match. And then you're a bit more careful with the answer because you might actually get the guy, and more riskily you might not get the guy.
Exactly.
So suddenly it becomes a bit like, which opponent are you really looking forward to playing in this tournament? You don't want to say. But I honestly don't know yet. I mean, we haven't had as much, obviously with the pandemic, we haven't had as much contact as we could have liked. Lots of stuff. But the work is moving steadily along. I mean, they're trying to form an outline of how they will present it.
Mm-hmm.
And
did you ever think,
I have accepted,
actually,
broadly speaking, that the way they tell the story will have to be, well, there's a way of telling a story, and they are the experts in that, and I have to leave them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I will try to enjoy it. But how much liberty you can take with this and that also matters. But I'm basically looking forward. I think it'll be fun, and I'm very nervous of seeing myself on screen finally.
So like you would like first you said as it was an abstract idea, and like did you ever think that it will become real, or it was just something which you just had fun with, never really thought about it seriously?
I thought it's a possibility, and if someone gets in touch and if it starts to happen, then we'll worry about it then. So it was something that I just postponed. It's not that I knew it's never going to happen or I knew it's going to happen. I just kind of left it rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm quite curious. On the one hand, it is tempting to see what story will happen, but you also have to, well, when I interact with them and we work on the script and we decide what's going in, but also what's going out.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it's not like some 20-part series on Netflix. No, it's going to
have 2
It
hours.
has to be condensed
Mhm.
and there has to be a story told. So it'll be a totally new experience for me. I'm not sure what to make of it.
I think it'll be pretty
The
epic. Like, and also it's such a great thing to see like a biopic made on a chess player, and that to you. Uh, I think it's never been made, I think, in other countries also, right? Like, except for like Fisher, which was like very, very late, but I don't think in any country it has been made so far.
Yeah, well, the movies, if you're referring to the movies
Movies.
about Fisher, well, then he's a character, but it's not really a movie about him.
Right, right.
A lot. And again, I feel that this will be, again, biopic. There have been pictures about chess, but this is a biopic. And they will therefore have to stick more closely to to actual events.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, if you've seen the scene with Spassky walking around Santa Monica Beach with in a black suit and tie with 20 KGB guys also all dressed in, and you understand, okay, they're using the imagination a bit.
In this Pawn Sacrifice movie, are you
Yeah,
referring to? Yeah, it was so unreal. And
yeah.
like,
No, it's just a great scene. And but the thing is, it captures. Spassky was very coolly dressed. There were KGB guys walking around, but usually they were getting drunk in the bar. I mean, there are details that are correct and there are details that are left out, and you just have to go with it. Um, Look, it's going to be a completely new experience for me. So I'm nervous. I'm excited.
and also in that scene which you mentioned, like Fisher comes to the beach and starts yelling at Spassky. It's also in the trailer. You, I'll get you, or something like this. I can never imagine something like this ever happening.
Exactly. I mean, we know there's a public face and there's a private thing going on. And once you have met Spassky, then you understand, okay, but these things will just never happen like that. But again, they are making the movie trying to think what someone who doesn't know the world of chess very well imagines that world to be. And there's a bit of that in Beth Harmon also. I mean, you can say that the chess scenes were shot well, but there is a lot of fantasy in how it's imagined.
Mhm.
So again, um, that's why I think it's very important. It's a new experience. I will be careful not to keep saying no, but it didn't happen like that. Actually, we were friends, or actually we hugged each other. So it doesn't work like that. So.
So I can see that you seem very like interested or curious also how it will go from the way you were speaking about it. So uh, you seem very open about
Yes,
it.
I mean it's the first time when the script is actually my own life. So let's put it that way. And somebody else is reading the script. So we'll see.
So I think we can't get any information yet, right? About who would you like to play or who is playing. I think that must be confidential.
You will not get that information of the shortlist. I mean, again, it's like saying I prefer these three candidates, and then you find out which one it is. So
Ah,
clearly,
okay.
we reached the point where I can't give that kind of thing.
Ah, okay.
But by the way, truthfully, I can say that it hasn't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
But even when it does get that far, I won't be passing that out. That's what I mean. Something which was about to happen, kind of in the air, is now actually going to happen. So.
So I think Aruna Akka's role will also be equally important in that movie. So Akka, do you have any preference or like who should be playing your role? Like, did you ever think about it?
It depends on the hero. If it's a good hero, I will play my own role. I don't mind. I will sacrifice myself for that.
Oh, that's interesting. You would like to act. I, I
It
think,
depends on who the hero is.
okay, so who should be the hero? Okay, like who would,
Basically, she's saying if I'm acting, she's skipping. It was too much already.
Come on, they might have a honeymoon scene in Dortmund. You and me running in that park. It might not be so bad. Come
It's
on,
true.
think about it.
Westfalen Park.
oh, but like now that you have said that if there is someone, and I'll probe a little
Mhm.
bit, who would it be? Like, who would you like ideally?
Very difficult to say. I don't know. Somehow I've never imagined myself like coming on screen or something like that. But whoever it will be, I'll be curious to see. Like Anand says, I think you'll be very conscious to see someone trying to be you on screen.
True.
And in a way, she's trapped as well. It's a biopic about me, but it's a biopic about her as well. I mean, her character will do things that she really did. So we I think we cannot even imagine what that. It's only when we all sit down in a room and they shoot some scenes or they pass around the script that it'll actually hit you.
Yeah, true. I'm very excited. I guess it will be like a year or so at least,
At least, yeah.
because a lot of planning has to go into it. But I think it'll be pretty epic. I'll see if there are any questions. Okay, there are some serious questions to.
Let's call her.
Sorry.
No. She's discussing the honeymoon scene.
We can also
No.
listen to it now, of course. If you say that.
It was the Dortmund Schach Turnier. If you're so interested, but anyway.
So running in the park.
Honeymoon was in a chess tournament. You know that, right?
No,
You
I
never do that to your wife with it when you get married.
He was 2 years old. What do you want?
That's right. But when he gets married, I'm saying,
okay. Point noted. Point
you
noted.
should give him advice. No, he's a young boy. Come.
I would take any advice. No worries.
Never take your wife to a chess tournament. Very bad idea.
Never ever. Like
Not never ever. That depends on her. If she's a chess player, what will you do? But
That's true.
at least for a honeymoon,
Have it separately planned.
separately. Separately would be nice always.
I'm just looking at Anand and he just rolled his eyes.
Yeah, I can't really comment. So,
Just like in chess, you can't take a move back. You can't.
People are saying I'll definitely do that. Take my wife to the honeymoon. But I think I'm getting carried away with that. So actually, I've read your book, Mind Master, and it was fantastic book, by the way. Like really, I read it in one sitting, like 5 hours. We are coming from Russia, and there was this one chapter which really intrigued me. Was I think about risk taking,
mhm.
and so like you said that in Bond tournament you took the risk of playing d4, and it's so important to take risks. So like now, what's your take? Also, there is one chapter which says about objectivity, and because it's very hard to balance both, right? Sometimes objectively you might feel like, okay, let me stick to my strengths, and sometimes the risk is like going out of your comfort zone. So I always wanted to ask, like, what's your take on that now, like risk taking and objectivity, those two things?
Well, ideally, you will first have an objective evaluation. So this is more of an understanding of where you stand, and not to look at the final result, but also to see what happened in the game, so to speak, to get an objective sense of how well you played and how much you. But then the nice thing is, after objectively deciding what you're good at, and if you can then take a risk, that is even more impressive. The other thing is you can get drunk and take a risk. But but that is one kind of risk taking. And okay, you even know that in a tournament, you can, if there's enough stress that night, you go get drunk, and the next day you think, and you might have a good day. But if you want to think about, so let's talk about Bond. In Mexico, I felt that if I played e4 against Kramnik, most likely that he would block me successfully. And also, I felt that I would not be able to put too much pressure on him.
Mm-hmm.
So we are talking first what kind of positions you'll get, and second what kind of work he'll do and what kind of work I'll do. And I wanted something else. So at the risk of playing something that I don't know very well, I wanted the character of the positions
To be different.
to offer me more possibilities. In the sense, I'm the slightly reckless one in this thing, where I'm saying I'll take a risk in order to get a position which is messy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'll take that risk. And the thing is, I was also prepared to accept less than I
Accept
got.
less. Okay.
Accept less than I got.
Mm-hmm.
I was quite happy to play a match which was closer, where the score was tight till game 9 or 10, and still I felt playing d4 gives me better chances to get. The other thing I mentioned in the book, playing d4, all the positions look new to me, and I don't have an autopilot switch for d4. So you don't just make moves automatically, you think in every position. And I thought it's a good way to force myself into that situation. So what I like mostly is the decision, the attitude to the decision. Um, of course, like all risks, it can go horribly wrong. There is no, I mean, I can talk about Bond now beautifully because it went beautifully. If it had gone badly, then there'd be nothing to discuss. Um, the thing is, it would have still been a good decision. It's just I wouldn't be able to quote it anywhere. So that would be the thing. And in the event, it was a wild success. I mean, I still can't believe that he could, even if he had not prepared 3 months for D4, he had, I mean, the guy knows enough to just be able to play something. But it strikes me that sometimes when you catch people off guard, they do things you don't expect them to do. And that was really what I was referring to in the book. And it's one mindset against another. I was in a mindset where I was ready to take risks to mix it up and get interesting things. And also, let's face it, I was ready to be dropped into a position where I don't understand what's going on and still cope. There was a readiness there. And it seemed that he was somehow unsettled. Why was he unsettled? I don't know. There are no logical reasons why you play well one day, why you play badly another. You can't reduce it to that. But I was talking about the positive attitude. And there's nothing wrong with the positive attitude being built on top of objective evaluation. I mean, objective evaluation is understand who you are, but then not restrict yourself to a character profile and say, okay, I understand myself to be this and I'm going to stick to that. You can try to understand your chess objectively and then also do unexpected things. So yeah, I understand that it seems conflicting, but it isn't. An objective evaluation is not a doctor's certificate. Afterwards, you only take this medicine. It's more of an understanding of who you are.
True. And one thing which is very tough is like you mainly used to be E4 player. You played D4 games, couple of them, but not like regularly, right? Before Born. And directly to change before a World Championship, that's a little bit, feels if I was like directly changing instead of a practice tournament directly in World Championship, I would feel a little bit hesitant as well. Like,
yeah, no, in fact, the problem is much worse than you say because I had played D4 structures successfully for long stretches.
Okay.
In 97, 98, I was using it in all these knockouts. I could play D4 whenever I wanted. Even though probably on balance, I did more E4 than D4, but I was fully able to play D4 at will in those days. The problem was, the reason I was able to play D4 well was I had a very simple formula, copy Vladdy's repertoire. And so we finally come to the moment when this strategy does not work. For the first time in my life, just copy his repertoire does not work. And that's why with the team, we had to come up with all this extra work. But if you look at my games in 97, 98, it was just a carbon copy of Vladdy's repertoire. Then I didn't even need to prepare. I just had to, I was watching his games in tournaments. And I just say, yeah, what would Vladdy play here? Okay, knight c3 bishop e4, he'll go queen b3. Okay, bam, hit it. And then you also have this confidence that if he's looked at it, it's probably at least it doesn't go on the spot. And, the hell with it. But in 2008, I could not do my default D4 approach. So it's the first time I actually had to develop a repertoire of my own. But luckily I had all my seconds and we had this new Ripka and we were able to do some nice things. But my strategy ran out. I could not copy him against him.
Those were the good days, I think. Like when it comes to preparation, I think nowadays it's so intensive, like just purely copying.
Yes, I mean, in those days, computers were still not going to the end of the variation. They were only at the beginning. So you could say, okay, once I get to this position, I will play something on the board. Now there's almost nothing left to play at the board if you don't know the line. Or it could be.
I think now it's more like, if we go into an unknown territory, it's like a little bit scary because opponent might have checked with engine and you feel like you're in some.
Yes, now the problem is when I've checked with an engine and I go there and I play it, I suddenly think, has my opponent checked with an engine? I know that I don't know the answer, but I know that I'm not sure also. So, I mean, you can charge down, but maybe he has checked it. And especially when you play someone who's much lower rated than you want to think he couldn't have seen this line. But then suddenly you think, what if he did? And it's a different, suddenly it changes. Your decision depends a lot on that.
So actually,
but yeah, of course, computers have moved so far along that. this old
No, as you said, like,
this whole thing of I could just play. I mean, those were really beautiful days. I could just uh, see Vladdy's general idea. Okay, I'll play that position. We'll manage something. It was nice times.
no, actually, as you were saying, like if your opponent has checked with or not, that's the uncertain part. And I was playing against Magnus in Vikings, and I was playing the opening, and he was taking time to think. Like he was taking 5 minutes on one move, 3 minutes on the next move, and like something, he was spreading out his time, and he spent like proper 15 to 20 minutes for the first 15 to 18 moves or something. And then after the game, he told me, yeah, that was all preparation. And during the game, I never got the feeling that he was in his book, because he was just spreading. He was like kind of bluffing. And for me, that was very surprising that first he would tell me that. And second of all, that he would do, like, if he knows that he's in his book, he would just like waste time and play. I was like really thrown off by that.
Okay, well, I've done it myself. There are times where I've forgotten my preparation. There are times where I have forgotten some detail, and there are times when I remember there are 3 promising lines, and I'm trying to choose one of them. So that's also possible, right? And there are so many reasons to think that it's
Yeah.
not obvious. Of course, Levon will. I mean, if he plays faster and faster, and with his left hand, he's probably very happy. Yeah. He suddenly switch hands and he'll go off like this, and then he's happy.
True.
But you thought it's a bluff, maybe. But
No.
it could also be that he's trying to remember which final position am I aiming for.
True. But he told me later on, like it was his preparation. So that was the confusing part. Like I never thought he would tell himself.
But can you believe him?
I don't know. You know him better. Actually, also, just when you were telling the story, you touched upon an important point. Like in Bonn, your team took care of the D4 repertoire. They helped you get that. And in this book also, I think you have emphasized the importance of having a team around you and like what it does. So for me, I've always like struggled building a team or like a long-term team. So was it like usually you take the decision, okay, I want to have him on my team, like that player, I have a good relations with him. How do you pick the players first of all? And does Aruna Ka then manage it? Or like, how was it like at least back then?
Okay, the first thing is you're talking of a world championship team, but there are also other teams. I mean, first of all, we were a team, and in Groningen, when we started, I think really serious is the arrangement. In Groningen, was the first time I didn't even come near the suitcase or make any plans, right? You think, and I was just
When
thinking
was
of the
this
knockout.
Groningen?
97.
97.
Were you born then?
Yes,
I was 3 years old. Yes.
So Groningen, we were going for this big knockout. It was the first time. It was the first knockout, and so there was a lot of unknown things, and we also had to realize. And then all of us were in a little bit of shock because we realized even if we are the better player and we're playing better, one mistake and you might not have the time to come back in 2-game matches, and But that was a small team, just Ubi Lava, Aruna, and myself. But it was very structured because there was quite some planning to do. You had to book something for 4 weeks. Less important is what happens if you eliminate. Then you cancel the hotel, then you pay a small penalty, and you go to the airport and you try to rebook your flight. The bigger problem is what would happen if I actually won the thing. But at round 1 of 7, you think, well, if I win, then we will deal with that problem then. And but there was a small core team, obviously. So I depended on Ubi for chess, and Aruna was looking after other things so that we were not distracted. That also probably flowed out of my experience in New York, where there were too many things that I did, and it simply did not make sense. I didn't do them well or effectively, and I shouldn't have done them at all. But for many years, I just needed one trainer. I mean, you understand that sometimes you can't take a team of 4 for a tournament. It's overkill.
Yeah.
So it's only when this when Mexico finished that I had to face this prospect for the first time.
Okay.
But because again, Mexico was Peter, Aruna, and myself, and we had already gotten into this routine of Aruna handling almost all the, not only arrangements, but contract negotiations, planning, and even things like, I remember in St. Louis, when I was moping around one day, she said, okay, 50 push-ups. So I had to do 50 push-ups.
Otherwise,
So,
no dinner.
no dinner.
Oh, that worked.
And
Tough love. That is called tough love.
I only managed 25 a day. But anyway,
Only starters.
yeah. Well, I had not even had dinner. How can I do it? Then, so I got Peter, but I had to think who I wanted more on the team. I had already been working unofficially, I mean, informally rather, not unofficially, informally with Surya.
Mhm.
So he was definitely on the cards. I've forgotten the exact sequence.
He, 2007, he came to our house. Remember when we moved in? He was the first person who moved
Yeah,
in.
but this is 2007. Yeah, but that is. So in fact, I must have spoken to Surya first, and then I spoke to Radek because I actually played him in a Bundesliga game. And when I was preparing for him in the morning, I suddenly realized, hey, this guy is very good, and he seems to be one of these players who is well organized and has good ideas everywhere. So why not ask him? And when I met him, he just seemed so quiet and friendly. I didn't know how to put it, but I didn't want to ask him in the Bundesliga, no. So I
About
asked
what?
him.
You didn't want to
His
ask
email address.
email
I didn't
address.
want to ask him if he wanted to work with me
Okay.
during a Bundesliga event.
Okay.
So I asked him after the game had finished. We had analyzed a bit. We had postmortem, and then I told him it was in Bremen actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked him, "Will you? Can I have your email?" He didn't. To his credit, Radek didn't ask one question. He said, "Sure." And he wrote it down for me and gave it in a piece of paper. Not one question. Why? So, and then quite a bit later, I had. In fact, that was Aruna's suggestion. She said, "Why don't you ask Kasim?"
I think that
Because
was.
Kazim and me had been seeing each other on and off at tournaments and everything, but she said, "Why don't you ask Kazim?"
Actually, it was during Monaco tournament you had the idea to call Kasim.
Yeah.
Remember? I think you lost to Ivanchuk that day and you were in such a bad mood
Yeah.
that you decided, let me call Kazim to be the second.
It's not exactly that you have to be in a bad mood to think of Kazim, but anyway, let's.
But it's also very interesting that Arunaka suggested, okay, why don't you call Kasim?
Yes, I mean, she again. The thing is, I will often say something that's in my mind, and then I'll forget it 3 days later. But she remembers. She actually, and then she said, "That day you mentioned Kazim. Why did you mention it? Do you think it's a good idea?" And I think it's a good idea, and sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, we're just a couple. I mean, there's a lot of back and forth like this, and so that's how the team assembled itself. And then I simply did not want to disturb the team for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we continued together for 3 matches. And Radek obviously continued. I think Surya also continued with me for a long time. But Kazim and Peter left. And mostly, I think the biggest requirement is someone is fun to be with. You can't. There were some offers from people who I was quite surprised. They never spoke to me in tournaments for many years, and suddenly I got an offer saying, "I would like to help you on this and that." But I felt uncomfortable because it's not just about work. You also have to have dinner together. You have to sit with each other all day. So those I didn't react on, but yeah, and that's basically been the biggest part of it. In '95, the only thing I would say is that I had first. I had Ubi working with me. Of course, if we don't count the first cycle, where it was Gurevich.
Yeah.
And then Artur Yusupov joined me for the Kamsky match. And then I had to add 2 more people for the Kasparov match to get to a 4, which is, especially in the days when the computers were weak and seconds actually had to do the work.
Mm-hmm. True.
You needed at least 4, or let's say at least 3. But nowadays, they can even sit anywhere else, and so things have changed. I have not needed such a big team for a long time already. So, but yeah.
So I think it's like you find someone's games or their expertise in some areas interesting, and that intrigues you. And then if you know them, or if you have like had dinner or like you spoke to them and you like their personality, you would naturally would like to be in their team. And that's how is the general criteria.
Yeah, in the end, I think they're your friends first, and but even with your friends, you want the ones whom you think can show you something that you don't know, or who are good at something that you are not,
I think
because that's what you learn from.
somewhere fits all
And I
those
mentioned that as
criteria
well.
for
There is a
me.
bit of complementarity in this thing, but you start off with wanting, friendly people.
Sorry, as I was saying, like, when you're saying somewhere came to my mind, like fun to be around and, but I thought that would not be a good fit for my team. Uh,
Well, maybe no. The thing is, again, there are your team can be whatever you want it to be. You can have someone who can lift the mood when the team is all gloomy people. You need someone who lifts the mood. For me, luckily, that was built into Kazim, so I didn't need a special comedian for that. When things were all breaking down, Kazim would start his jokes, and then we couldn't stop. We couldn't stay gloomy. So
so Kasim is most
I
fun.
got a two-in-one package.
So Kasim is the most fun, like in the group, like he used to make the most
Yeah.
jokes.
I think he's the one who can start. The others are quiet, and everyone likes humor and fun and everything, but the others are a bit quieter. Kazim, he's got that Lubo touch. He can has an opinion about everything and anything, and even things which are not important, he will have an opinion. He tried to convince me once that some French art director of movies made excellent movie. Just looking at him. So, Kazim is fun.
When I met Kasim, he told
And
me,
he can cheer you up even when you're in a very bad day.
true, true. And also, like, when I met Kasim in one of the Olympiads, he was talking to me about Kundalini meditation and he was asking me about it. So, as you said, he has an
No,
opinion
once
about
in St.
everything.
Louis, I saw him doing yoga in the gym room. He was just kneeling and doing something, and I couldn't believe it. And I'd known him already, 15 years.
Yeah, Kasim is
He
complete
surprised me every
fun.
day.
So Aruna, as Anand, he mentioned like the managing the team part used to take care of all the contracts and like what would be your take on this? Like, how was that experience for you handling the team, making the team actually?
For us, almost the team is like an extension of family for us. Like, even though, Peter Heiner no longer works with Anand, the relationship is still very warm. So we check in with each other's kids once in a while. Uh, now that Surya as a father is like, for me, Surya was almost like a child to me when he first came, the first few matches. And Radik, for me, Radik is like the baby of the team. When he got married, Anand told me, don't cry, it's okay, children get married. So for me, almost Radik is like my own child. And there's this very nice story. And, he's been with Anand from
It's
2008.
such a
So, like, usually, all of them will all fall sick during the match. One will have throat pain. We've had a tooth extraction. We've had chicken pox. We've had everything during the World Championship matches. So the highlight was Surya's chicken pox because he gave it to us.
Exactly.
Then that's how we spent our bond victory, completely covered in chicken pox. Then during Sofia, Peter Heiner had a tooth extraction. So, they never cease to amaze you. But I remember in Sochi when Radik fell sick, so I told Radik, I have medication, would you like to try? So he, how Radik is, he felt so uncomfortable telling me. Then Anand took me aside. He said, he has a girlfriend, it's time you shut up. Okay.
No, because Alina was already giving him medical advice, and Aruna completely forgot this. And then she felt like a mother whose son first time is listening to someone else.
So, like I said, it was just a family. And Kazim always also, the days that you really need your mood to be lifted, he's there with his completely inappropriate jokes, but it serves the purpose. But also we've had very close friends like, Hans Walter and all, who, if you read about in the book, especially about Sophia and all, I think without friends like that would have been very difficult.
True. And I think this chickenpox story is like really very, very amusing. I think if I remember correctly, it was the last game when you played against Kramnik in Bonn, and you notice that you come into the training room in the morning and you notice that Ganguly isn't there, Surya isn't there.
No,
That's
Ganguly
game
went.
4, game 3 or
Ganguly
4.
was taken away after game 3.
Oh, oh,
We
like,
had to like completely during the match. We had him isolated, and nobody knew that he had chicken pox. So we had kept him. I mean, Anand didn't know it was
but
chicken pox.
you
Still,
knew,
he
right?
was.
You knew,
He
right?
knew it was some big virus, and he was being put away.
No, but did you know that he had chickenpox? Like Anand did not
I
know.
knew Anand didn't.
I didn't know. I just knew he'd been locked away. But then the funny thing was, normally with chickenpox, our appetite declined. Whereas Surya with chickenpox, what are you laughing?
Like when I see
Surya with
Surya.
chickenpox, yeah, his appetite went up. So we are bringing him delivery after delivery, and then Peter and Kazim were so scared they would leave it in his room, knock 3 times, and then run. And Surya would open his door, take the meals inside, and eat it. In good practice for pandemic, no? And then the other thing was Surya would sit in his room all day and say, "Give me work, give me work." And these guys, well, it's very difficult to dump work on a remote second. Yeah, it's much easier to if he's in the room and understanding everything than you. So at some point, Peter and Rustam were giving him their private opening problems. And so then when Surya finally reappeared in round 9 or something, when did he reappear? Around 10. Yeah, anyway, at some point Surya reappeared.
No, 9.
Then some point Surya reappeared and he said, "Oh, but you never used any of my ideas." And I said, "What ideas?" And basically then he realized that Kazim and the thing had been sort of renting him out privately.
That's such a
Subleasing
scam.
him. Yeah, subleasing him. Yeah. So it was, but no, but you could give him a serious problem and he would solve it and bring it back. But already by rounds 4, 5, 6, 7, it was more a question of what I should choose rather than big problems. I think we only had real disasters in opening preparation after round 8.
When you won that game. Yeah, one game which you won.
No, game 8 I drew. We had the opening disasters which didn't happen. So that dragon opening, which we were still going to use in case he played e4, but he showed no sign of playing e4.
Dragon.
That collapsed again for the 5th time and things like that. So, I mean, I say disaster but it didn't actually happen. It was a virtual disaster.
Mm-hmm.
It was happening internally. And so I would go to the game thinking, oh my God, if he plays 1-8-3, what am I going to do? But luckily he played d4, and, that kind of thing. So
I think there was also a story that they wanted to contact you regarding that there is a problem in one of the variation. I think it was in Gelfand match, right?
No, it was the Kramnik match, game 5. Game, unless there's another incident referring to, but I don't know. Game 5. While going to the tournament hall, basically I'd been checking the Meran for so long, I suddenly realized in the Botvinnik I'd forgotten what I do right after we get out of the theory.
Mm-hmm.
So literally I make a big prep and then I couldn't remember anything. I mean, okay,
it happened. Yeah.
And so I was panicking. I mean, why should Kramnik suddenly play bishop g5, but why should he do anything? So I thought, well, I have to call them. So I tried to call them. Of course, they were, as soon as I left the building and got into the car, for them it was party time. They would switch off their phones and go to the restaurant to eat. And so they switched off their phones and went to eat. Then later on, much later, I think they wanted to check messages or something. So they switch on their phones again. Then they see that 8 missed calls from Aruna and me. And then they were really worried till I came back. But by the time I had won game 5. So when I came back, we could all laugh about it. But it was a problem that didn't happen at the board, but sudden panic. I couldn't remember my line in the Botvinnik.
True. I'll just see if there are any questions because people think that it's pre-recorded. So I'll take one question from the audience.
Okay.
And guys, it's Peter Heine Nielsen, not Peter Liko. Peter Liko was part of the team, but much later. And one guy saying Peter Parker. Uh, okay, guys, if you have any questions, please ask. Okay, let me see. Let me see. Okay, not yet. Okay, it's very generic question, like your favorite win. Uh, actually, this is interesting. I don't know if you're allowed to tell, but are you going to play in any of the Chess 24 events which are happening, like this Champions Chess Tour? Like,
So far, I'm not in any of them, so it's not a question. So
okay. So far not. Like, actually, do you have any tournaments planned? Because in this year?
at the moment, no.
And do you like it to be this way? Because for personally, for me, I liked it when it was the lockdown, so I don't need to travel. I was like kind of sick of traveling. So I got to stay at home, which I enjoyed. Not playing tournaments, but staying at home. So for you, is it like, do you wish that it starts again and you're itching to play again, or
I'm itching to travel again for sure, but I don't know where I'm
again
traveling.
give the expression?
Well, again, the question is, I'm dreaming of travel like it used to be 2 years ago, not mask, jumpsuit, plastic helmet, one injection here, one blood test here, then another injection, another test, and then that's not the travel where I'm referring to. But that'd be fun. But yeah, I've also been very busy at home. I give talks. So we could finally launch the Westbridge Academy. Um, I'm doing a little bit of this and that, and obviously right now the Graphy is very interesting because I really have to sit and think, what is it like to construct an opening repertoire for Aruna that she can use and that is easy to remember, but at the same time has some danger for the opponent. Yeah? So we're trying to balance that, and I think even these classes we did on An Academy before the Graphy were fun. You have to. I found it difficult in the beginning because my explanations were over the top, but then later on I managed to tone it down a bit once I got to feel the audience and what their
In An
questions were.
Academy, right?
Just that. The one before. But even in the Graphy, you have to imagine that.
Right.
Everything, who am I talking to and what are we trying to show? That's why there's a little bit of one move mates and two move mates. I do it like a brush because, as you say, it's not only whether you give a mate, but the same person who sees that Queen A8 is mate will also see that a queen can capture something and you cannot leave a piece undefended. So a little bit of back and forth like that. But these graphics have been fun. And well, the January season starts now. So
talking about that, I'll just play the trailer which I have for the Graphy. Just 1 second. Yeah, I think it's there. I don't think you can see it, but I'll just play it for the audience, the trailer.
Do you realize we have chosen from 400 possible opening moves? And now it's 1 in 200,000 possible opening moves. Well, you've heard, well begun is half done. Nowhere is it more true than in chess. Hi, I'm Viswanathan Anand, and I'm going to teach you the most common chess openings with the help of my favorite student, my wife Aruna. With Aruna's help, I will teach you how to develop your own pieces faster and more strategically, so that you anticipate your opponent's move to some of the most common openings and have the best possible chance to capitalize from a good start. So bring out your chessboards and join us on the 8th of January at 8 p.m. live on our Graphy Alpha openings.
Awesome. What a nice trailer. And I see like it Arunaka seems interested. So tomorrow is the first chapter, right?
Seem is the right word.
You're not interested?
First of all, interested is the lowest. It's not enthusiastic, excited, interested, and that too we put a seams to it.
No,
sorry, I didn't mean that way.
Downgrade.
I didn't mean that.
No, actually, truth be told, I quite enjoy the Graphy because like Anand said, I've watched many chess games, and many times before the game I will tell him, this one will win, that one will draw, and he'll say, "How do you know?" I said, "No, I just know." And many times he'll say, engine evaluation, this, that, and my answer will be right because female intuition conquers all the engine analysis. But what I'm enjoying is now actually seeing how the game is played and why is it played in a certain way. At least I understand more. Before I would just shake my head to whatever Anand said. Now, actually, I understand that he's making sense. It's not just talking stuff.
So guys, you can click on the link which is in the description, which will take you to the course. And tomorrow, 8th January is the first one. And what's the schedule
Correct.
like for the next chapters?
We're doing Fridays and Saturdays,
Okay.
and 8 p.m. is the time.
Okay.
So in December it was 7 p.m. Now it's 8 p.m. So but Fridays and Saturdays we're doing 2 days in a row per week.
Okay. So I think until the January end, it will be finished with. So what are the openings
Yeah.
also which you're going to explore, or it's a
I'm
secret?
going to show. Basically, I want people to get off the ground with e4,
Okay.
and so I'm doing e4, e5 for two graphies.
Okay.
From white's perspective, a few ideas, and from black. Um, then I will do some French, Caro-Kann, and Sicily.
So it's completely from White's perspective, like E4 repertoire, right?
Yes, I mean, again, if I try to cover more, if I try to cover D4 and C4 as well, then we'll get like 10 minutes per
Yeah, it would be
thing.
too
So
rushed.
you have to make that choice in a way. But my idea is if you are teaching your spouse how to play chess, which is the whole concept, then he or she should be ready tomorrow to be able to play E4, E5 and play 10, 15 moves and understand a little bit of what's going on. So that is really the aim of the thing, to encourage people to get started.
Cool. Guys, you can check it out. The link is there in the description, and I think you get 7 days free trial if you have not yet tried. Srinath is in the chat and he has asked one question. When does Vishy approximately expect OTB chess to resume? And how does he deal with the uncertainty? Srinath, as usual, with the wise questions.
Well, OTB chess has resumed already. I would have hoped he has been watching some of them. But OTB chess has resumed, but unfortunately, it has taken on travel restrictions. So the European OTB events have only Europeans, and then or people with the EU passports. And in Russia as well, they have over-the-board events, but only for Russians, like the Russian Championship. And I can't tell why he's asking me, because if you think about it, it's not a chess question anymore. It's not. It's a
No,
it's a medical question.
No, but like
and
the
so
uncertainty.
if you ask the doctor, you'll get a better answer.
No, I mean, for example, the uncertainty, like you don't know which tournament you're going to play next. And like, let's say there's World Cup this year. And we don't know if we'll be able to play, what will be the situation. So how are you dealing with this uncertainty of not knowing which is your next tournament, for example?
I'm fine at the moment. Again, it's a very unusual situation. I'm at home, but I realized that it's not as bad as I thought. I mean, both of us one year ago, you had the feeling there'll be some emptiness in your life if you went 2 months without going to an airport and then going to a tournament and playing. But you realize that you can go on like this.
And even learn chess from you. What more you want to stay at home?
And I forgot what the question with that glare. But
With it, this is how you do it.
This is
Learn, look and learn.
So, but essentially that's a medical question. It's there are many tournaments I would like to play, but whether it will be practical too, I don't know.
Actually, I remember Srinath visiting us when we were in Spain. He was a young boy. And I remember he came and had dinner with us once or twice. And his father told me what all he liked to eat. I think he liked potatoes and rasam, if I was not mistaken. So I remember making it for him, and he was like a little boy. I still have those pictures also.
You found some.
Yeah. So I think to embarrass Srinath sometime, I should send it to him.
Definitely. And I think I'm the only person who has not visited your house. I'm in the chess fraternity.
See,
Probably.
high time, come now.
Done. After the pandemic, I'll come in the like party, like the grand ceremony for the opening of biopic. I think it will happen.
Yeah, sure.
Ah,
So I think that's a good occasion
Mhm.
to come. Um People are loving this. I'll just see because we are running short of time, so I'll just take few more questions from the audience who have joined in.
sure.
Um, One question, like any friendship stories with Kramnik, anything memorable, is one of the questions. Um, I don't know. Like people are not asking about chess generally. And yeah, any friendship anecdotes with Kramnik because he's one of your good friends, I suppose.
Um, Again, Kramnik has this slightly detached, maybe even slightly cynical humor. Um, so you get a lot of gems like that. But when he was young, the funny thing is he would uh, say things which sounded funny because he didn't realize how extraordinary they sounded.
Mhm.
Something like, well, if I've scored +4, do I really need to try for +5 kind of thing? And you think, well, how do you score +4? No? So those kinds of things. Um, Unfortunately, on the first time in Dortmund, he also got lost with us. So this looking for a restaurant and my sense of navigation stories. Um,
I think there must be so many that it's hard to even like
yeah,
pinpoint to
there's so
one.
many. My favorite one is from Sofia, where he offered to help, and he said, I, I'm willing to help you guys, and of course we accepted. But his pitch line was, so you're playing the Elista thing and you're playing the Catalan. I'm happy you're trying to copy me, but you're doing it very badly. Can I help? Is literally the quote. So
And I think I realized
that,
that in online Nations Cup, he was like the helping us with the team. And when we lost a game, he used to be completely blunt and like he wanted to say you played like trash, but he had to soften it down. But still, it was like a typical way of saying that you guys played really badly.
yes, and afterwards he gave me the stronger version. But no, but okay, you and Hari made some blunders in that cup tournament that you have not made since, luckily.
Yeah.
So he was quite shocked. He said, but how is this even possible, kind of thing? But but yes, he takes his jobs seriously, and in Sofia, yeah, we had a lot of fun. But unfortunately, my seconds had much more fun than me because I would still have to go and sleep and get ready for the game. But they would have all nighters with him, and I'm sure it was
Must be fun.
fantastic. Yeah, I'm sorry, you have to give me some time to think
Yeah,
because
no,
there's so
no.
many
I think
memories.
there are more questions. Like
Sure.
Saravanan, he was in the chat. I didn't notice. He just
Uh-huh.
he asked, looking back now, would you have done anything different against Karpov in '98? Thanks, Mohit, for that question. What was this match in
Um,
'98 against Karpov? Like, is it the World Cup or
no, it was the final after Groningen, this knockout event, and then we had
like
the
he
final.
directly played the finals and you had to play all along that one?
I I think maybe somehow be more conservative in game one. I mean, if we had started with 2 draws and I had settled down, it would have been nicer. As it is, I depended on a good deal of luck in game two to get back into the match because it could have been over very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but simply not pushing. So I still somehow, once the game started, I would start to push him very hard. And but I was not in the physical condition to do this, as it turned out, because I very often in that match I would make some unexpected blunder and would wonder where it came from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think there are some parents who are asking about like what would your suggestion be like the kids who are interested in the game, how can we pursue this sport? And I think you recently also launched some scholarship, if I'm not wrong. Uh, I think you were working with some company for that.
Yeah.
I don't know the details,
So
so sorry about that. Uh,
yeah. So the first question. Well, if your kids are interested, just get them started on playing a little bit. There is no real other advice. There is. They have to play often, and then the questions will come, and then you'll know what to do. Till then, there is no real shortcut. The only thing is, at the beginning, play a lot, and even without realizing it, you'll get strong. As for my academy, it's the Westbridge. I started it with Westbridge, and the idea was to identify some promising youngsters in India, whom then we can support and groom for a considerable period of time. And I mean, so far they're all grandmasters. So
Oh, it's already begun, yeah? Okay, awesome. So I think that's about it. So guys, please check out the link in the description. It will take you to the page where I think the trailer and all the details are there. It's going to be about openings, as you have noticed, every Fridays and Saturdays, 8 p.m. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for bearing with my questions, and hopefully they were not too bad. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the session. And Arunaka, when we meet next time, I think we'll have a lot more chess talk to discuss, right? She'll ask me some, why did you
Sure.
play
With my
that
trainer
opening?
trained me well.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Thank
it.
you so much.
Thank you everyone for joining in.
Okay.
That's
Thanks
it.
everyone. Thanks for that. Bye.
Bye bye.